No buys. No buys. No buys. None. Zilch. Nada. Zero. How many buys? None. No buys. How many? None. That's our new slogan here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. No buys. We're, of course, referring to a proposed college football playoff system. So many people out there have their playoff proposals. I'm sure you do as well. 8 teams, 16 teams, how to format it, who to choose. We know that it doesn't work currently. I'm on a rampage and have been, since 2013 when it was announced that the current playoff system is actually not a playoff system. It's an invitational. You don't earn a spot. You are selected and invited to the playoff. All right. Now with a lot of proposals coming out, we keep hearing about buys. And I will address, as you can see right here, why buys in college football don't work. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, even if you don't agree with me. Please hit the like button. It helps us build the channel. Also, get out there on social media, because think of it this way. If you enjoy the discussion, the debate, and the analysis, the best in college football, that's our aim, that's our goal, that's our mission, then other people will as well. So don't be selfish. Share the videos out on social media as well. All right, here's why buys don't work in college football. So understand first and foremost that to eliminate buys, you have to have either a 2-team playoff, 4 teams, 8 teams, 6 teams. That's how the formatting of the tournament and the brackets would work out evenly to have everyone play the same number of games and participate starting in the first round. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. That's why 64 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament worked from that standpoint. Okay. This is why buys will not work in college football. First of all, it's an automatic win. That's first and foremost. It's an automatic win. So let's say we go with the ever popular 6-team playoff format. You're going to have 2 buys. So those 2 teams have the advantage of, and it's an enormous advantage, they don't have to play. They won the game. They automatically won the game. Did they earn the win? No, they didn't earn the win. All right, so that's a ridiculous advantage to have, first and foremost, is that you can't lose. You go into the next round, you're a winner. Okay. Unfair advantage from a strategy standpoint. I don't think this one gets talked about. Maybe I brought this to the forefront a number of times in conversations with you when you call about playoffs and buy scenarios. So let's play out this situation. Conference championship game weekend, the first weekend of December. So the championship games are played, the championship games are concluded, and let's say we've got a playoff in which Oklahoma and Oregon are scheduled to play in the first round, and Alabama received a bye. Okay, so Alabama's going to play the winner of Oklahoma and Oregon. All right, let's say, again, it's the first week of December, just after the conference championship games, which are typically around December 5th. Okay, that Oklahoma-Oregon game is going to be played around the 20th, in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. And then 1 week after that is going to be the Alabama game against the winner of Oklahoma and Oregon. Okay, what are Oklahoma and Oregon going to be doing for the next 2.5 to 3 weeks? They're going to be game planning against each other. They are going to be laser focused on trying to beat a quality opponent that they can't take advantage of or take for granted that that's going to be a win. They're going to be laser focused. Their players, their coaches, their game film study, everything is laser focused on beating either Oklahoma or Oregon. Well, what's Alabama going to be doing for the next 3 weeks? They're going to be able to game plan against both of them. They're going to split their time, or if they secretly believe that one of those 2 teams, Oklahoma or Oregon, is going to win the game, then they may go 60-40 or 70-30, but basically split their time, their efforts, their resources against game planning against those 2 teams. Then they're also going to be able to sit back and watch those 2 teams play against each other and strategize for the upcoming game in round number 2. So that's completely unfair. Think about it. All right, next up we've got, of course, injuries. The possibility and probability of wear and tear for sure. There's going to be wear and tear. Guys are going to get nicked up. They're playing a tough football game at playoff intensity. They're going to get nicked up to some degree. They're going to be ankles. They're going to be elbows and all sorts of just tweaks for sure. There's also a high probability that somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to be injured in a fashion in which is going to compromise them greatly for the next game or is going to eliminate them from the next game. At least one player, maybe 2, maybe 3. Key players are going to go down in that first round game and going to make that second round game a huge disadvantage for the winner of the first round game playing a fresh opponent that's been able to game plan for them for 3 weeks. All right. Next up, regardless of what anyone says out there, this is impossible to determine a fair way in which 1 or 2 teams earned a bye. Okay? Go to any particular season and try to figure out who would have earned these 2 byes. Okay? We just had the 2020 season in which Alabama would have been a team that would have, quote-unquote, earned a bye as an undefeated SEC champion. The other bye would have gone to whom? Ohio State was undefeated too, but they only played 7 games. Clemson won the ACC. They were 10-1. Who gets the bye? How is that earned? I'll tell you, it wasn't earned. It's going to be given. It's going to be given, just like the playoff spots are currently given. It's going to be given, not earned. It's not earned. Go back to 2019. We had 3 undefeated, dominant undefeated teams in LSU, Clemson, and Ohio State. Now go back and don't think of it in hindsight. Go back to the conclusion of the conference championship games. Some people had Ohio State number 1. Some had LSU. Clemson, not so much because of their weaker schedule, but still, they were the defending national champion. 3 undefeated teams of the caliber of LSU, Clemson, and Ohio State in 2019. Who gets the byes? What 2 teams get the byes? I have no idea. Really, nobody has any idea because nobody earned the byes. You can go through every season. We could go through every season. And if you're going to give me about 10,000 views for a video, I would go through every season and be able to outline how nobody earned the byes, how those could not be clearly determined. So it's unfair. That's all there is to it. It's unfair. It works in the NFL. Why do byes work in the NFL? Well, first of all, I'll say that if somebody was going to argue that they don't work, that there shouldn't be byes in any playoff format in any sport, I would say, you know what? I'm not necessarily going to disagree with you. But the reason that they can be justified, we'll take the NFL for example, is because these teams play in a closed bubble. They play together. They play against each other. If you look at the 16-game schedule for any NFL team, their cross opponents are constant. Their schedules overlap all over the place. It's easy and it's reasonable to evaluate these teams against each other because they all play each other constantly. Therefore, the team that earned the bye earned it, number 1, based on an objective system. We select playoff teams based on 13 teams getting into a room and just determining, okay, I guess it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. The objective criteria that selected the playoff teams also is the same criteria that selects the byes. They were earned by those teams based on best record and head-to-head competition. Got to win a division, have the best record, you've earned the bye. You can't do that in college football because nobody plays each other. You can't say, well, just because Clemson played in the ACC and USC plays out in the Pac-12, that you can compare those two because they don't play anybody that's the same. When you are comparing teams in the NFL that both play in the AFC, for example, well, they probably played at least 7, 8, probably more like 10 or 12 of the same teams. Therefore, the bye is earned because it is measured against the same type of teams playing the same competition. The schedules overlap constantly in the NFL. All right, this is why buys don't work. They're unfair from a game planning standpoint. They give you an automatic win that you didn't earn. You didn't earn that position. The injury factor is just too much to take, too high of a probability. The wear and tear as well. Again, it's impossible to determine. Go to any season. We can go march through the history of college football and determine that the buys cannot be determined in a reasonable way, and this is not the NFL. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will next size up our playoff system and deliver it to you for your scrutiny and approval. Right here again at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.